Okay, so it's been a long time since I've talked about Section 15 Part 2, which most of you guys would know is that this is the second half of my 50 fights for the final section of my before I retire from doing the fights. Yeah, Section 15 Part 2, that's it. After this, I'm no longer taking requests for fights or doing fights. It's just going to be, that's it, I'm done. Not to be a jerk, I just feel like I'm burned out on it, and I haven't been doing it in a while because I've been kind of busy with other stuff, but I decided it's time to get back to the fights, to finish the final 25 fights before I retire, and give the reins over to the Mount Vernon kid and his stuff, because he honestly does it better than me. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, haven't checked it out, his fights yet, go check it out. Anyway, now normally most of you guys would know that I usually put a preview with a song and stuff and just show you the fights. However, YouTube being the almighty pricks that they are, I tried that and they kind of got pissed off at me. I didn't get marked for it, thankfully, but they did say, you know, copyright notice here and there, and I was like, God damn it. So I had to take it down before it was fully done, so, yeah. So I'm going to do something rather unorthodox. For the final 25 fights of Section 15, I am going to read you the fights that are going to be happening. Now, these fights are... I loved a lot of these fights. There are some really good ones in here, and I'm going to be reading them. Now, there are a lot of them come from me, and I'll just be like, oh, that's me. And then I'll read out the person who requested the fights. So again, very unorthodox, but, you know, you gotta make do with what you can. So, first fight is Wolverine versus Chase Young from Shaolin Showdown. That fight came from me. Next up is Punisher versus Predator by Justin Grillian. Hope I'm saying that last name right. So yeah, Punisher versus Predator. Look forward to that fight. Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Master Cyclonus from Stormhawks. Another fight from me. Lucy from Elfen Lied versus Spider-Man by Fatality 65. Up next is Daredevil and Elektra versus the Pack from Gargoyles by the Mount Vernon Kid. Following that is He-Man versus Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat. Me. Next up is Legato Blue Summers from Trigon versus Superboy by Linerman 0245. Next up is Zod, General Zod versus Annihilus. Me. And the other one is also from me. Batman versus Walter Dornez from Hellsing. Following that is Solid Snake from the Metal Gear series versus Captain America by Miguel Seiler. Next up is Clayface versus Eddie Brock Venom by Mr. Mr. Black Mist 25. Following that is another one of my fights, Boba Fett from Star Wars versus Kai Lang from Mass Effect. Next up is Mysterio versus Mirror Master by the Destroyer Comics. Next up is Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist versus Grell Sutcliffe from Black Butler, or Koro Senjuku, as it's also known, by Jonel Bob. I really hope I'm saying that last name right. I really hope I'm saying the whole name right. I apologize if you're watching this, sir. Anyway, following that is Roberta from Black Lagoon versus Jessica Priest from Spawn Comics from Animate 48. Animate 84. Yeah. Following that is another one of my fights, Damian Wayne versus Karai. Next up, from the Real Manos, yes, the Real Manos actually had a fight for me for the final section. Hulk versus Glory. Following that is a fight from Zazubar, RoboCop versus the Bionic Man. He sent me that fight and I was like, oh my god, I want to do that. RoboCop versus the Bionic Man, hell yeah. Following that is from TanakaCon 1985. His fight is Wolfsbane versus Cheetah. Next up is Verbangeline 95. I really butchered that name, I know it, so I apologize for that. But his fight is Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Kimiko from Shaolin Showdown. Following that is Wonder Man versus Captain Marvel. I'm talking Shazam Captain Marvel, guys. So, from D.L. Weddle 68. I really hope I didn't just butcher that name, so I apologize for that. I feel like I'm getting a lot of these names wrong. I'm sorry. Alucard versus Swamp... and then another one of my fights, Alucard versus Swamp Thing. One of my fights. And the final request fight for this section, well, in all sections, really, is Ryu Hayabusa versus Kenshiro from... well, Ryu Hayabusa from the Ninja Gaiden series versus Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star by Devil Knight V. And the final two fights are from me. Thanos versus Superboy Prime, and Odin versus Darkseid. So there you go, guys. Those are the final fights. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. And actually, I'm going to, since I've been away from them, I'm actually going to, at least try to put up at least 2 or maybe even 4 fights today, since I've been away from them. And again, this is the final fight sections before I retire and, leave everything to Chris, because he's actually got almost 20 goddamn fight sections ready, willing, and locked in. So, yeah, big ups to my, to my good friend Chris. And yeah, hope you guys get ready for the final fights. Alright guys, that's all I had to say, so I'm out.